well, at least they don't run around with tigers that scream how they're going to go and kill you. So
Right.
yeah, it's kind of normal.
How are you, Rick? How you doing?
Good, good. How are you, Brad?
Yeah, very well. Now, first, I got to kick it off. You're in Norway. You're in Oslo. What are you
Yeah.
doing on Saturday, beaming around the world?
Well, I'll tell you what, after all this Tiger King talk and all this Tiger King mess that's gone worldwide, we're going to have a very special live broadcast on Saturday night where we can have an opportunity for people to send in their questions, what questions they might have about Joe Exotic or what went on in the zoo, things that the documentary didn't go into.
How has your life changed in the last 3 weeks, from the explosion of Tiger King?
First of all, I don't ever get to sleep.
Wow.
I literally, I can't even use my own telephone. It blows up if I turn it on. It rings, dings, pops, zing, zang. So I'm getting very little sleep. What's changed is you would think in a place as far away as Norway that you could walk outside and go down to the street and buy groceries without being bothered. But no, everybody in Norwegian, blah, 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 Rick Kirkham, the Tiger
Right.
King. That's
Wow.
all I keep hearing.
Have you gone back? Have you watched a bit of the show yourself for curiosity?
My wife binge watched the entire documentary series the night it came out. And she said, Rick, you better take your time. So I watched a little bit over a period of about 7 days. But the thing is, watching that for me really didn't strike me as hard as what it really was, because I actually lived in that zoo.
Yeah.
And the documentary didn't go near as far as it could have with how crazy things really were there.
Yeah, and so Joe, at the end of the day, was a psychopath.
Joe was a pure psychopath, on drugs, crazy, redneck, gay cowboy, as he said. He was just crazy. I mean, you could be walking down the path where the tigers were caged, and he'd literally pull out his revolver and shoot at you just a laugh, just for a joke. That's Joe Exotic.
But how did you sustain your time there? I mean, you lived with him for a year. Was it just the want to tell his story?
Well, after a couple of months, I drank a lot. I'll be honest with you. I think we all did, just to stay sane. Joe had a very cult-like personality. And once you were around, not even so much his cult-like personality, but there's a certain thing about holding big cats in your own hands, a power. When you start to realize you are no longer at the top of the food chain when you're with a tiger, you're down below that. It's a very cultish, powerful feeling that takes over and drags you into it.
So you were sucked in as well.
Oh, that was sucked in big time after about 3 or 4 months. And when you get sucked into that, then Joe Exotic knew how to suck you into his world. And all of a sudden, you really weren't thinking like yourself anymore. You just wanted to be a part of that zoo.
What could you say to Joe Exotic if you had the chance now to be at his prison?
What would I say to Joe right now? See what I told you? You could have been famous, and you could have enjoyed it with freedom. Because that was my job making a reality show there, is I was going to make the man very famous, and he would have been. The biggest irony of this whole thing, Brad, is Joe Exotic is now probably one of the most famous people on the face of the earth, but he can't enjoy one bit of it because he's sitting behind bars.
Do you fear for your life when you go back to America, that if the world, existing in the same open world as Joe Exotic?
No, I'll tell you why. And a lot of this I'm going to get into Saturday night for this very exclusive special. There are a lot of things about Joe Exotic that the public do not know. And those are the things that I really need to save and tell people Saturday night. But there's a whole lot that documentary didn't tell you, especially about his inner workings and his private personality when the camera was not turning.
Right. Gotcha. And will you do a deep expose on his tight purple short shorts?
I won't be wearing Tiger King underwear, that's for sure.
All right, good. Gee, some of the clothes he came up with, unbelievable.
Yeah, this is a guy that was handing out condoms to 5 and 6 year old kids when they came in the park. I mean, he's a very sick guy.
And in terms of that fire that burnt all the footage, obviously you and him had a massive fight that night. So you think maybe that it was started by him or one of his connections?
We actually, and the last time I ever saw Joe, we had a big argument 2 nights before the fire. He had changed the locks that night on the studio there at the zoo, and then he took off and went out of town for a couple of days. 2 nights later, it burned to the ground. I lost everything. So it took the FBI a couple of times to interview me and the other people before we figured out kind of who did that. We kind of know who Joe, he was behind the fire.
In terms of Carol Baskin, you have no doubt that he did pay someone to attempt to murder her?
I have no doubt at all, because he asked me on one occasion to kill her himself. I know. He jokes about it all the time. I'll make a rich man out of the first person who gets rid of Carol down there. And Carol knew that. Carol and I had talked a few times online. She knew that he was serious.
Yeah.
I didn't take it as serious at first, but I guess we all know now that he was willing to pay that money and go the long distance.
Right,
but listen, Brad, we're going to have to save a whole lot of this for Saturday.
No, for sure.
We have a lot of stuff coming up. And listen, anybody who wants to ask a question, just hashtag what have we got going?
Ask Tiger Rick.
Ask Tiger Rick. Hashtag. Can you imagine a hashtag Ask Tiger Rick? That's what I'm going to be known as now, is hashtag tag Ask Rick. I mean, come on, me? I'm not the Tiger King. I'm the poor guy that was abused by the Tiger King on video.
But you're Tiger Rick. Like, now you're living a great life in Norway.
Hashtag Ask Tiger Rick.
All right, great. I will do that. And was there anyone sane that was in Joe Exotic's world? Like, was anyone normal?
Even I'm not sane anymore, Brad. So no, there was nobody sane in his world.
What about Safri, the girl that got her arm chewed off?
The girl that can't decide if she's a boy or a girl, no, she's not sane either. None of us were sane. Once you go to that park, you checked in your sanity, and you never checked out. It was the Hotel California.
All right. Well, you seem like such a nice guy, and I worry about you that you went through all this, for the story. I guess.
Why do you think I live in Norway? It's as far the hell as I can get away from America and get away from Oklahoma.
Right. So Joe Exotic really screwed you up mentally.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm still seeing a therapist. And I'm not kidding about that. I am still seeing a therapist to get over Joe Exotic. The man messes with your head.
Right. And in parting words, when people sit down to watch this Netflix show, it's the biggest show around the world right now. What can you tell people to remember as they're watching Joe Exotic?
It's more real than what you're seeing. And if you really want to know how real, hashtag Ask Tiger Rick.
Right. Well, it's unbelievable. He's become the most famous man in the world, hasn't he? Well, mate, I hope
God help us all.
Well, I hope you cleanse your soul when you log on to this live stream on Saturday.
I'm going to let it all out.
Yeah, you're a good man, and I hope you go all right there in Norway. Jeez, the Arctic Circle's good for you. Everyone's sort of reasonably normal up there.
Well, well, at least they don't run around with tigers that scream how they're going to go and kill you. So it's kind of normal.
All right, good. All right, you're a champion. Rick, we will be watching Saturday, and good luck. People can log on to the link and hashtag Ask Tiger Rick.
You got it. Thanks a lot, Brad. Good day.
Thanks. G'day, mate. See you, champ. Bye.